Welcome back to another episode with ByrdAdatto. As you can tell, we are still quarantined. Michael is still happy, as you can tell, with his earbuds in his ears.
Yes, I'm being positive, which is something I have control over right now. I don't have control, like all of us, over much else with the COVID-19 happening all around us, and a lot of scary news that's going on. So one of the things that we've been trying to do is get information out to our client base and even to other healthcare providers and businesses that are affected by COVID-19. This is, I think, the third week of shooting videos on a daily basis. We've touched on the legislation, the CARES Act, the Family First Act, or the extension of the sick leave, and then we've touched on just things that are happening for where you are right now. And Brad and I just thought it would be good to come back to the basics a little bit and just remind on some of the basic principles in healthcare compliance that are still in play today.
Yeah, and I think this goes back to the concept of when there's change, a lot of people see opportunities, and there's a lot of people out there with the entrepreneurial spirit, and that spirit is, hey, where a lot of people see a roadblock, they see this great new opportunity, and because of that, they're saying, hey, why don't I get into this COVID-19 business and find ways in which, obviously, hopefully, to help the economy and help the country, but at the same time, what are the things can I do? And because of that, you have entrepreneurs who aren't used to the number of regulations that are already in place for the healthcare industry. And they're going out there and they're advertising pretty heavily. But as Michael probably will let you know, the healthcare industry has many regulations, including how you advertise.
Yeah, I mean, so as a starting point, if the services being provided are medical, every medical board in the country has advertising rules governing, for the sake of patient protection, how that's going to work. And essentially, if you try to come up with one or 2-3 words to describe how they all work, they're trying to prevent false, deceptive, or misleading advertising. And so each state has a different level of depth they go into, whether they're dealing with testimonials or use of models or other specifics. The key is to understand that it's there, and then also to understand that the FTC has regulations on advertising. So it really comes into play with social media and use of influencers. And so as businesses or practices are trying to capitalize on opportunities that may arise out of this crisis, it's important to understand that those principles are still at play, and that there may be a real particular emphasis if someone's trying to make a claim specifically relating to COVID-19 that would be considered false, misleading, or deceptive.
Yeah, on that point, and because a lot of people aren't familiar with that, the FDA recently and FTC, so the Federal U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, and the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, jointly issued some warning letters to a host of companies. I think it was over 7 companies, because those companies were issuing advertisements that were saying their products fraudulently could help prevent or treat or cure COVID-19. And the FDA said, look, we are concerned with patient health, and these advertisements that you're going out there saying you can do this, that's false and it's misleading. It can harm people. And so you need to stop doing that immediately. So that was the first thing that came across. And then secondly, they said, oh, by the way, because we're so concerned that people are going to try to take advantage, that certain people will try to take advantage saying, oh, this particular tea can cure it or prevent it, we're going to be watching your social media, everybody, and we're going to look to see who's saying what can be treated, what can cure, and what can prevent you from getting COVID-19. So again, the entrepreneurs in this realm, be very mindful that this is an area that the federal government has always been a part of. This is not new. And the FDA and FTC will issue warning letters and can issue cease and desist, and it can issue fines against you. So remember that these are the rules that you have to abide by, even if you're not a healthcare provider.
Yeah, I mean, as a final observation, whenever there's change in the healthcare climate, it's important to understand that compliance is still relevant, and it can be a little misleading because in this, with the COVID-19 pandemic happening right now, we are seeing a lot of relaxation of compliance rules, like in telemedicine. But where you see that, it's all to deal with the pandemic and help patient care. What you'll also see is, as people are trying to, capitalize on opportunities that arise, you have people that are trying to game the system or bad actors, and you will see that the government will come down extra hard on those that do that, and there are people that may innocently be doing things incorrectly that can get swept up into that. And so it's actually a time to be more sensitive to compliance than less sensitive, because the government will be watching out for what happens in the healthcare market.
Absolutely, Michael. Thank you as usual, and thank you to the audience that's joining us. And we look forward to speaking to you next time.
Thanks.